Is it finished yet?
Is what finished?
Yeah, the CNC controller.
Oh yeah.
It's working?
All sorted now.
Oh, brilliant. Well done. Okay, welcome back to the workshop, and let's get on with it. Wow, it seems like a long time since we were here, but we're finally back and perseverance has paid off and we got a working machine again. So I've just been machining the bottom of this out, just finishing off that profile. So we've got all that nice and flat and we've got plenty of clearance now. So I think I've double, triple checked. There's nothing else I want to do on here. Yeah, so let's take it off. We'll give this a quick coat of paint and then I'll see you at the workbench. Okay, let's give you and me a quick reminder of what it was I was doing here. So this is basically the XY table for the drill press project. I'll give you a quick overview of that in a minute. And what we've got here is the base unit. That's the bit you just saw me finish machining off there. I've just spray painted in the middle there and it looks quite nice now. However, I have also just offered this up to the table and I've found another little problem with it. So we'll come on to that in a moment. Anyway, that's the base. And then we've got the y-axis, so this part here slides on these dovetails, goes backwards and forwards like that, and that's driven by this left-hand ball screw here. So that'll sit in here, you've got the handle, and it moves that nut backwards and forwards. That goes onto there, and then that part is screwed on the underside of there. So that moves the Y, and then for the X, we've got the long table here, it's upside down, but this is the these are the dovetails that go into there. Obviously you've got gibs to go in there. That was that custom bracket we machined a while back. That's a right hand ball screw that will go into there, and then the handle will go on the end to move the table backwards and forwards. So all pretty standard stuff, nothing too complicated. So this is my drill press project. I've got lots of custom made parts on there. You can hardly recognise the original drill press underneath, to be honest. It's changed quite a lot. So I'll start here. This is the knee, this is where the XY table will go, and I made up this little height adjustment here, so we've got the handle there, and when we turn that, we can move the table up and down. It moves on these linear rails, so it should move pretty accurately. And I've also got a digital readout off the back there. I won't turn it on yet, but we get a Z readout here, so we can see the height of this. And then you'll notice we've also got XY readouts on there. So on the XY table, I have DROs for the two positions as well. So I have XYZ position for anything that's on the table. Now we used to have a single phase motor hanging out the back, so the whole unit was out away from the wall quite a bit. So I made up these custom brackets, put a 3-phase motor on there, considerably more powerful as well. Not that I needed it, but it wasn't that much more money. And then up there we've got a little cooling fan that comes on as well, that blows some air over that to keep that cool. We're just running it really on this fixed speed here. Probably use it in that speed all the time. If I want a little bit more torque, I can drop it down one, but we'll see how we get on with that. A bit lower down here, I made up this custom control cabinet here. So we've got on off, we've got the speed, forward reverse, we've got momentary jog. So you just push these and it just spins up at relatively low speed as long as you're holding that button in. So that's for doing tapping and things like that. And then we've got the emergency stop. And over here we've got our custom control cabinet. So we've got the inverter there that runs a 3-phase motor. We've got some 12 volt and some logic, stop start there on those relays. We've got an over temperature thermistor controller there that will switch off the system if the motor gets too hot. And then we've just got all our main incoming mains and earth down there. A little filter at the bottom. And then a fan at the top there, and then all the cables go out there through that little connector block, through that big cable there, into the control panel, so you can basically remotely control the drill from the front panel here. Now there's one more thing I forgot to mention, which is under here there's a little brake system. So you just lock that off once you're in the right height, and then when you drill it won't back drive the ball screw there. You can drill, and then when you need to adjust the height just with one hand, use my left hand, you undo that, you can change the height and lock it up again. And there we go. So we got that far, let's get on with the XY table. So now we're over here, I'll just show you the problem that I just noticed, that I mentioned a moment ago. So that goes on there nicely, and there are 4 little M12 bolts that just hold that down into the table, and then away we go. So the problem I just noticed is, so this is nicely laid on here. I've removed all the dust and there's nothing trapped underneath. However, so there's 2 possibilities. Either this machined plate, this tool plate that I bought, the aluminium, is not flat, or this cheap import drill press is not flat. Where's your money? Because I know where mine is. It's never easy, is it? So let's go and have a look and see what the best course of action is. Of course, what I've got to be careful of is, obviously I can machine one side or the other side, whichever. I want to try and, obviously I want to get the datum back to the dovetails correct, because I could machine everything flat, but it might be off at an angle, so 90 degrees, drilling a big hole might effectively go down not 90 degrees to this. So I think what we'll do, thinking out loud, we'll put our chrome bar in here, sweep round, and see if, try and establish what is 90 degrees to. Ooh, actually, there's no real datums on here. It's not going to be easy to get onto the dovetails. I'd have to rebuild the whole machine. That's it. I need to put it all back together, don't I? And then I need to sweep it round onto the table, and basically discover how best to machine it to get it flat but not wobbly like this. Yeah, hope that makes some sense. It's a bit like scraping something in on a surface plate, isn't it? You can, except this is really exaggerated. You can see where it's rocking around somewhere around this point here, and that way. So there's a high spot somewhere here underneath. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go and have a look. There might be something obvious, some imperfection. Might be as simple as that, but with this stuff, who knows? Right, let's go and see if there's anything obvious about here on the underside. I've just turned it the other way up. Because it is actually machined on both sides. So this is now the other way around. This was the base. Oh. That's better, but still something holding that off. Now that's, when it's functioning, that's not super critical because it isn't a reference surface, but this bottom face is. So where we had the high spot was around here, somewhere around here where it's starting to go rusty. It's probably just lifted the surface very slightly, because they have actually machined it. It's not ground or anything, but yeah, at least it's been machined roughly flat, which, you know, for this project is going to be good enough, but I can't really live that. Let's just see. I'll just put a straight edge over, just see if I can get just that residual rust off. Maybe that's enough. The other option, I guess, is I could just machine a relief here. So basically it rests on the 4 pads fundamentally, and then just machine this away so it's not resting here at all. That's assuming these 4 pads are reasonably flat. So let's check that, and then we'll get a bit of a plan together. Okay, well, I'm just going to check it with this, which I think is a stainless steel ground bar. It was out of some kind of scientific equipment, had some measuring verniers and XY stage and all sorts. Looked pretty nicely made, so I usually tend to trust this. I've got nothing better, nothing flatter in the shop, so let's have a look between the bases at least. Get a bit of a feel for it. That feels okay, so I might get away with this. Obviously, got all that. That means a lot of area to guarantee to be flat. Really, it could do with just some local pads that are definitely flat and everything else relieved very slightly. You know, they're just going to run an end mill or face mill probably over the whole surface and call it done. So it's kind of okay there to there. There's a little bit of rust on that. That feels okay there. So I think the high spot was these bits. Could do with it being a bit longer, but we've got what we got. So that feels okay. Oh, yeah, that right, I've hit something there. Yeah, somewhere around there. And about the other side. It's not too bad. I was just saying that. Just, yeah, probably the same thing about there. So I think probably the best thing will be to relieve these very slightly. Just think about where the forces go on the dovetails. They're going to go straight down, they're going to bear on these pads. Shouldn't be too much force in the middle here, so I'm not too worried about losing that. Better to get it flat, I think. Okay. Take it out a bit further, it's not going to hurt. I guess we better check out here as well. To be honest, the whole thing feels like it could just do deburring, and yeah, just starting to catch a little bit on there, but I think a bit of Scotch-Brite probably just take that back. Otherwise it feels okay. So the outside will bear some of the load as well because it'll come down the dovetail into there, so if I can keep those as factory that would be good. These edges I mean, so that's okay. Bet if this is a bit longer, but we've got what we got. That's not so good there. But if anything, this is low, so yeah, that's quite low. And that's high. Oh, got one there. So it's starting to spot rust. Yeah, it's into there. All right. So good between bases. Very pleased with that. Good between those bases. Good between those. It's just catching slightly on there. I think it's the paint. Yeah. So we'll relieve this and just Scotch-Brite the rest, just gently, and hopefully that will do it. Okay, now what I'm doing here is not strictly critical. What I could just do is just clamp it down in whatever way it wants to sit, and then just relieve these. So because these will be below the surface, all that really matters is that it rests on the kind of four corner pads. But I thought, I'd give it a go and try and get it as accurate as I can. If you just lay it on here upside down, it rocks. I'm going to guess 0.5 millimetre, maybe a bit more. So there's clearly not machined perfectly on the underside as well, or on the top side. But that's not a reference surface, it doesn't matter. But what I was just trying to see is, you know, it'd be nice to get these datums, if you like, with these reliefs sort of all aligned together, rather than, you know, just in case I need to reference off those in the future. So I've just clamped it down on one corner to stop it rocking, and then I just thought I'd take some measurements. So you saw me there, I was just, I took a 0, it's just arbitrary, zeroed here, measured over there, and it was minus 0.47, minus 0.47, so at the moment it's sitting down that way, and then up here we got plus 0.13, so it's sort of down like that, and then this corner's up ever so slightly. So in theory, if I put shims underneath to the negative of those, it should bring it flat. So let me have a little play around. I'll get it as level as I can, datum to these 4 feet, and then we'll machine these reliefs in here. Now what I think I might do is just leave myself, say, 20 mil here, and same on that side, just so that you've got the 4 pads as your bearing surfaces, and then also where the dovetail runs down here, it gives some support at least in the middle of this span here. You know, and if that's out or I have a problem with it, I could dress that with a file until I get it pretty flat. You know, a little local area like that's going to be easier to walk in. I think I've taken the decision to machine all these away, although maybe I'll do the same there. I don't know, part of me is tempted to leave a little pad just in the centre, just a file's width, so if I have a problem I can dress it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Right, let me get this level, and then we'll get this machined and we can move on. See you draw that file backwards? No, nothing to see here. Okay, I've cleaned it up. I just filed everything, all the edges, make sure there's no burrs at all, and dropped it on, and still rocks. Now you can see I've got that machine clearance there. That little intermediate foot, that is still clear, so that's not holding it off. You can see comes back to here. When you get into this corner here, press down, that doesn't move, that is in good contact. Come across the other side, that's also got good contact, doesn't move. Come down here, get to there, also if I push down, doesn't move, got good contact down there. So good contact in the 3 corners. This corner over here, this is where we got a little gap. Okay, so we've got it bolted down in the 3 corners, so it's bolted here, here, and the back right corner, because if you remember this side, this is where it's rocking, that's where we've got the clearance, so it's basically supported on those 3 contacts. I've got these gibs adjusted just so it's just snug, just so it should find its own natural position, and then just as the start of a 10, I've got my chrome ground bar. I've just been running it along here, and it all looks nice and flat. It looks pretty good, certainly enough, you know, drill press project, that's close enough. I think if you put this on a surface plate, you'd probably feel maybe a tiny bit of something, although it might just be burrs, I'm not sure. But yeah, plenty good for what we're doing. Okay, so as you can see, I've got this chrome bar in the chuck. This is my new keyless chuck. I haven't really used it for drilling anything, so it should be, you know, about as good as it gets. Having said that, there is a little bit of run out on it, as there is on most general purpose chucks. So we just need to be a bit careful, maybe just spin it round and just make sure we definitely got a bit of a feel for how square it is. So then I've got my square here, and I've just been checking against the edge there. And I did that there, and at the back, around that position, and at the front. And basically the table is tilted slightly. So you can see if we offer it up against that, try and keep it square to the table. You may be able to see it touches at the top first, and then there's that little gap at the bottom. So the whole table is tilted slightly that way. So we've kind of got a plus on this side. If we do the same at the back, the table's tilted slightly this way. And around this side, I might be able to show you if we bring that in. No surprise really. It touches at the bottom first, and then we've got the gap at the top. So again, the table is that way, and then at the front, it's tilting away like that. So what I think I'm going to do, if I can lift it, I'll put this upside down on the CNC machine, so this is on the bed, and we'll turn it round, I'll sweep it round and see if that agrees, and then I think we've just got to machine the pad in so it's true to this. Feels like a big step, but I'm not really sure what else I can do. You know, I want to try and get it a little bit closer than that. That's not great. So let's go and do that. Phew, well, we got it on there. That is very heavy, so I managed to kind of lift it onto its end and then tip it over and walk it on. And now I've got the table sat on here. It's nice and flat, so I know this is flat because I've machined it flat and I've made the machine flat, so the table is flat. This has got the gibs reasonably tight, so basically if I machine this surface, it should now be true and parallel to that within the, within reason, and we should be onto a much better start point. Now I'm going to try and run my DTI across each of these 4 pads if I can get it in, and just see where we're at, and then we'll get on with the machining. So let's get to it. Well, I think we've rescued that, so I'll undo this. Hopefully I can lift it off because it's really heavy. I might have to dismantle it on here and then rebuild it on the machine. So we'll take this off and then I'll see you by the drill press. Oh, that's heavy. Right, let's line it up. Okay, and the answer is what? That can't be right. Okay, I'm just going to see what's going on. Let's get this out again. Okay, a lot of you have seen me use this, and I've got a longer one. This is a piece of granite. It was from a fireplace hearth that we took out of this house and we put something else in, and it's pretty flat. It isn't a surface plate. You know, one day I'd love to have a nice surface plate, probably 300 square at least, but for now it's the flattest thing I've got. I've just wiped it down. I think it's going to tell if we've got a 1/2 mil discrepancy somewhere, because I reckon this is at least 0.05, probably a lot flatter than that, maybe nearer the 0.01, but you know, I've got no way of independently checking that. But over the years using it and get a bit of a feel for it, it's pretty flat. Right, so let's see what I'm going to do. First of all, just check this base. So I've cleaned it off. Actually, even will it fit? I think it will. Okay, it's down. Oh, the answer is, I think there's a subtle high spot maybe there, but it isn't rocking. Okay. Right, well, we'll take the top plate off the drill press and try that next. Maybe there's a burr on it or something I've missed. It's certainly nice and flat now. Okay, so here's the top plate. I was just in the process of taking it off. So obviously this we assume is ground flat. You can see the lines here, and this is the Eco Cast plate, so it's been milled flat. But as we've just seen, the XY table, the base of it now is definitely flat. I've machined it flat, and pretty sure this would be flat. However, I was just undoing it, and now it's loose-ish now, so it's just barely held on with these screws. And if you look under here, might be able to see just up in that corner there. It's very not easy to see on the camera. So it looks like it's touching quite nicely at the front, but as we go on that side, oh there, you can see there, there's quite a bit of, looks like it's lifted away. So I wonder if what the problem might have been all along, or a big part of it might have been that the flatness of the bits these sit on, when you tighten this up, it's actually pulling it down and pulling it out of flat. So we've got this far. We'll take it off, put it on the surface plate and see what we get, and if that's good, we'll come back here and just, I'll tell you what we can do. We can offer this onto the base of the XY table, and if there's no rocking, then we'll come back and have a think about how we're going to sort this out. It might be we just loosen some of these plates so that this is the datum and these get pulled up against it, because there should be some clearance in here, and we'll make sure it's dead level before we put this on. So let's take it off. I'll see you on the plate. Hang on, not yet, come back. I've got one more thing to show you. Right, so I haven't fully taken this off, but there's no bolts in it at all. See, it's free to move around, and it rocks. Not in a good way. So obviously what must have been happening is these bolts are pulling it down into this corner. Now the base of the XY table, when I was machining it, there were certainly some lows, so it wasn't flat. Maybe it would have been good enough, I don't know. So, you know, I'm not upset that I've machined that, because I know that's really nice and it'll be a good stable platform, but yeah, I think clearly that was the issue. Alright, so what is it we've actually done? So let's take that off. For a start, doesn't look like a D-bird all these holes. Must have missed them. Thought I did, but maybe I didn't. Okay, so we'll get those done. And what about around here? Oh, that doesn't look very clever. What's happened there? That's raised up. Something's caught it. Ah, it would be the so when I tapped these M12, part of the tap has just caught that and it's raised that edge up, so it's probably pushing that corner up as well. Okay, so that's two things. Otherwise, That doesn't feel too clever. Just make sure that's flat. Maybe. Right, so where's my straight edge? So I bet that's lifted. Yep. Oh yeah. So it's definitely caught there. And yeah, this side is low. Alright, so we'll loosen it off, get that nice and level. We'll assume this is our datum. I guess we could do it either way around, but we need to make sure they are. Yeah, we'll get that's the datum because we've got that flush there, flush with the bearings, so we'll get the side. About that side over there. Oh, that's right on it, that's fine. And then this corner. Yeah, I think that's okay. And the other side. It's low. Right, so what I think we'll do now, we'll loosen this plate. It's funny, when I put it together, I was pretty sure I got those right next to each other, but obviously it wasn't quite close enough. So what I'm going to do is use the ground plate on top, rest it on the two, let's call them the reference surfaces, this side and this side, because you know they're really close and flat, and then we'll use the plate to draw this up so it's touching. Hopefully that'll be flat, and then we'll nip these back up. That's the plan anyway. There's that. Usually drill the holes very slightly oversized for exactly this reason. Okay, make sure there's nothing left. And here's the plate, so I've just made sure I've definitely cleaned all these underside of these holes. Hopefully this will do it. Feels pretty flat if you just push on these three. Right, let's get that bolted up. Just trying to feel if it moves. I don't think it did. To be honest, it wouldn't hurt to loosen this one once it's all in, perhaps just to make sure it's definitely home. Feels good, right. So this is loose, so let's tighten those three. These are amazingly easy to lose. I've already lost one today. Just bounced down, hit something and rocketed off underneath the cabinet, never to be seen again. Okay. Luckily I had a spare one. I think we're about ready. Right, so hopefully this will pull it up square. And then nip these up. Because technically I might want to loosen these again just in case the plate was out a bit, and now I'm reloading it in, but don't know. Maybe it was okay. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Alright, last one. You'll be a little bit careful with threads in aluminium, because if you use them, tighten and loosen them a few times, they can start to pull out. Right. Well, let's try that again. Right. Everything's nice and clean. The base of this is clean. That sounds graunchy. Let's just check there's no dust on it still. Okay, here we go again. Get it lined up. Okay. That is pretty good. I'd say pretty good. Oh, it's tiny. Oh man, it's still doing it. Right, I don't know what's going on, so let's try this a different way. So this is obviously the base, and here's our ground flat plate. So this surface should fit onto there. Let's see what happens. Just line up the edges. Okay, that's lined up. And it does not rock. It is flat. Well, as flat as we need. Yeah, I can't make that. Can't make that move at all. Yeah, you can feel it's good. What's that rotating about here? Yeah, I can feel that's good. So, conclusion, this is flat enough. This is flat enough. Whether it was flat enough before, I don't know, but I've machined it now and it's definitely flat and it's parallel to the table. So that's good. So it can only mean it's the installation on the actual sort of mounting plates on the knee. So I wonder if we, don't know, maybe we just do it up in a different sequence. Let's have a look, see what we can do. Right, cut to some time later, and I've basically opened up the holes inside of these, got everything aligned, everything flat, any burrs removed, try to get it set as square as I can. Now of course, not only have I got to allow these side plates to come up tight and square against the base of this, obviously they could do that, but the whole table could be tilted or it could be twisted. So at the same time, I've just been making sure I'm pretty square on this ground bar. It's, you know, it's not a milling machine.
Is it a milling machine?
It's not a milling machine, and it won't be. Okay, it's not a milling machine. But yeah, it's close enough for a drill press. It's, if I can't see any light through there, then that's fine. I'm not going to sweep an indicator around, so that's good. Let's lower it back down again, see if the base fits. Right, now I deliberately haven't tightened these, so the back one's tightened, that one there and there are tightened to sort of get 3 points of contact. These are sort of loosely done up, but nothing else is in place. Let's see what happens. This does not get any lighter. Although I designed it so I can take this on and off, I'm not sure I want to be doing it very often. Okay, line up the holes. Okay, it's pretty good there. I do believe that is flat. Obviously there's the little relief there that I machined. There's the little pad and there's the relief there. Comes down to the corner. On the corner there. Oh no, I didn't machine any relief along there, so that's all good. And then around this side, there's the pad. There's the relief. Centre pad, relief. And the corner. I think we got there. Still can't believe it, but we are there. Right, let's take this off. And put all the little M5s back in again. Through all these. Hope this doesn't pull it out of flat. If it does, at least we'll know exactly why. Okay. Okay, so I've got the table roughly assembled. I've got all the gibs all tight, so we can just check where we've got to. And I had a quick look at this, and it's touching at the top and very slight gap at the bottom, so the whole table's leaning that way a little bit. So basically what that means is all these bolts underneath, they all have to be loosened, and then we can tilt the table slightly to the right on the back plate. Because now we've got it all sort of square as a unit, then the whole thing, including the triangular supports and the back plate, can all just slightly tilt round, and we can get that dialed in. But we won't do that yet because we've got lots of machining and bits and pieces to do on this. And then front to back, it's very similar. It's slightly leaning down. So again, needs a little bit more dialing in on those triangular side supports. So we'll loosen those up and then maybe just jack it at the front until we got it just level how we want. But we know we've got it within tuning range now, so I won't do any more on that. Because it's all got to come apart, and we've got to get some of the ball screws in here and hold loads more besides. Well, if I'm honest, that wasn't quite the episode I was expecting. I thought, you know, this would go straight on and we'd be getting on with machining all the holes for the ball screws and making sure that works. But I think we've come to the end of this particular video, so we'll call it there. As always, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.